welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Turn the Page. I am one of your hosts today, Jen, a media librarian here at Syosset Library, and I am joined by...
Hi, my name is Kay, and I'm one of the Reader Services librarians here at Syosset Public Library.
And we are so excited to be back with this guest. This is a return guest, which means that you are a friend of the show now. We are here to talk about an absolutely delicious, like so funny, so sweet, so good rom-com. You're 2 for 2 now, like very, very good job. Would you like to introduce yourself and your book, please?
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for having me back. I'm Mallory Marlowe. I am the author of Love and Other Conspiracies and Love at First Sighting, which we are here to talk about today, which is a out of this world rom-com about a social media influencer and a man in black who are sent to investigate a UFO case together, and maybe fall in love along the way. We would hope.
It is so much fun. And what I'm really interested in is that, paired with your first book, you explore some similar vibes and themes and dynamics, but with some new twists, some new interests, some new paranormal flavoring. Could you tell us a little bit about the inception point for this one and what you wanted to try new with this one?
Yeah, so I actually got the idea to write this one while I was drafting and researching Love and Other Conspiracies. I was like listening to podcasts about all kinds of paranormal unexplained things, and I listened to one about the Men in Black, and I was like, oh, that would be so much fun if like this girl, sees a UFO and then a man in black comes after her, to investigate her case, and like what if he was also really hot? So I just kind of like jotted it down on a post-it note and then like set it aside and was like, that's a little zany. I don't think anybody's gonna want a book like that. It's a little too kooky. But then, as we went out on sub with Love and Other Conspiracies and, met with my editor, I pitched this idea to her and she was like, wait, that is so cool. So that was really where it started. And I mean, I had never really written a mystery like this before. Like it does have an action adventure mystery element to it. And so I was a little bit concerned that I wouldn't be able to pull that off. And also, how do you mix that with a romance? It was kind of tricky to navigate that. So that was also a new area that I was diving into. And I ended up really loving it. And now I'm kind of like, okay, I think all my books are going to have this like big external plot that needs solving. And then as far as, the paranormal elements go, I think that obviously with the concept, we're going to be dealing with aliens this time around. And that was sort of something we dove into in Love and Other Conspiracies as well. But I was like, we're going to go all the way into the aliens this time.
Yeah, I'm sure that other readers, myself included, will read this book and be like, wait, The Men in Black is more than just a movie? Because that's what
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's from the movie. That's what no, they're like actually like a movie that exists. And I was like, oh, okay.
Supposedly.
Allegedly, yes.
They claim that there's no such thing. But yeah, the history is super fascinating. Like just the whole early Cold War time period where people were so concerned about like things in the sky because of, the political situation. It was just such an interesting time in terms of like UFO culture and like why did all of this start like almost all of a sudden, like, and why did it become such a boom, and why do we now have these guys in suits following people around? It was really fun doing a lot of research into that too.
You have Sputnik to thank for that.
Yeah. Right? You're like, what is in the sky?
So I'd love to talk about our protagonist, starting with Elle.
Yeah.
As an elder millennial, I feel so lucky that influencer was not something that I could want to be in my 20s,
Right.
So
I'm like glad that wasn't an option.
yes, yeah. So can you talk about shaping her and her her challenges before the alien shows up?
Yeah, so I thought that the reason that she ended up being an influencer was very intentional because like when you think about who is going to put something on the internet and like who documents every single thing that they do, and it's like it's somebody who's really online. And so an influencer felt like a really fun character trope to get into. And I also just I love the culture around it, like just all the people who go on The Bachelor and then end up with sponsorships, and that's like their whole job now. And even how just like run-of-the-mill content creators are, getting sponsorships and, making a living out of that is really cool. And I am also glad that I could not do it, nor could I. I just don't, I don't have that kind of creativity when it comes to like smoothies and stuff. But it also, I got to also interact with a lot of LA culture, which is like where I am. And so I got to write about people that like I see at coffee shops and, the people who run these kind of offbeat businesses in the city and are making more money than I'll ever see in my life doing so. And so it was just a really fun part of entertainment to dive into. And I learned a lot about influencer culture. I was like, oh my God, they are making so much money. Like when I started like looking at, okay, so this is how many followers she has, this is the type of content she creates, how much money is she making? And I was like, oh, okay, she's richer than I thought.
Yeah, it's wild when you think about like,
Crazy.
oh, these people, well, but it's also like, that's the trade-off, right? You put your entire life on the internet, you put your, everybody knows all your business, all the time ever, and in exchange, you're a millionaire.
Yeah, exactly. It is a little bit like selling your soul, like in a way.
Yeah.
And, and that was something I wanted to play with Elle, is that she puts everything online, but it's like how much of that is actually the real her. And I think for her, the hard part is that she doesn't even know who that is anymore because she's been so busy catering to, this is what the aesthetic is. This is what my sponsorships are telling me to say. This is my brand. And so she kind of lost herself in the process. And so in seeing something that totally breaks, her content rules, she really kind of starts uncovering things about herself as well and seeing other skills that she has that she can be utilizing and figuring out exactly what it is she wants to be sharing with the world.
Yeah, I like that you made that like her journey.
Yeah.
That she was kind of like, I don't know who I am. I've lost the plot, basically.
Yeah.
Now I must find out. And like, maybe this is the way. And, I found that really fascinating. I also really liked in the very beginning that you kind of tied this book to your first a little bit. Like there was an article about her in Scroll.
Yeah.
book. I was like, I found the Easter egg.
Yes. And the Easter egg, the Easter egg that Carter and Hayden have met and it didn't go well.
Yes. I also found it interesting because you're kind of doing this really fun thing where like a lot of influencers start on a company like Scroll, BuzzFeed, Mosh, and then they like branch out to their own thing. So I feel like you're kind of doing that with your characters where we started with the company in the influencer territory. And then the next one's going to be about like a TV personality because that's like the timeline.
I can say that it isn't about a TV personality, but Hayden and Hallie, we will see an evolution of where they have gone in the third book. And how the show is going a couple years down the road.
Amazing. Last year, Jen interviewed you, and then she came to me like immediately and was like, I just read this amazing book, this great author. I think you'd really enjoy it. And I'm in my rom-com era. So
yay.
Sure, I'll read that. Sounds great. And I devoured it in like a weekend. And then I was like, why is there not more? So when I found out you were releasing this book, I was like, can I join you on the podcast?
Can I come? Yeah. Of course.
Can I come be fangirl?
That's so awesome. I love that so much.
And it's been our staff pick. It's currently our staff pick here again.
Oh, yay.
Love and Other Conspiracies.
That is like one of the coolest things is seeing it with like the library spine. The first time I saw that, I was like, that's so exciting. Oh my God, I'm so happy. Like people are going to discover it. And, librarians are just doing the best work ever. And so it really means a lot.
Yeah, librarians become evangelists for certain.
Yeah.
Certain authors too, like, we're like, have you read blah, 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 blah? You must here, have a stack. So
totally.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Influencers in a way.
Yeah, you are.
It does like bring me to an interesting sort of, I think, thing that I sort of realized while reading is that like one note I took was that hearkening to what you were just saying is that like a brand is not an identity and like your followers or your mutuals are not your friends necessarily.
Yeah.
The thing that I always wondered about influencers is like, so you want to be an influencer, but what is the thing, like what's the thing that you want to influence people to do? Is it like sell expensive water bottles or like make them think that you are cool, like what are you doing? So
Yeah.
like there is a nice part of I think like her journey is separating from this idea of like your brand is an authentic uh
Yeah.
identity that you can like invest yourself in.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I feel like that probably has to be part of the battle that real influencers are feeling in some ways. Like, obviously, like, there are some who are very, very problematic. And I wish they were not as rich and famous as they were. But I think for like the average influencer, yeah, you're probably a little bit torn in some ways on like, okay, well, like, what am I actually trying to do? Or like, somebody who just hits it big randomly, like, they have a viral TikTok for something totally unrelated, and then it kind of just has to become your whole brand. And it's like, this was a joke. And now I have to like keep this up. Like that's kind of crazy. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure that a lot of them are probably like, I have to go where the money goes, but like, what do I, yeah, it's such an interesting career, like such an interesting career path.
So I'd love to talk a little bit more about writing sexy stuff. And I don't just mean like spice, but I mean like banter, because something that the two books have in common is that like your banter is just like A plus, like so funny, so snappy, and like sexy.
Yeah.
Like you can feel the like
chemistry.
like it's snap crackle pops, Like what's your approach to writing like just sexy vibes?
I think that especially when it comes to banter, like for me, one of the most attractive traits is a sense of humor. And so like I do feel like especially like as like a woman who is attracted to men, like when I'm thinking about hot guys, I'm like funny guys are like it. That is just great. And so somebody who you can joke around with and be yourself and be goofy with, that is like peak. That's what I want. And so I really also want my characters to feel like they can have fun together. And like they have fun on the page. Like, because the one thing that, I can get frustrated with in books sometimes is like, yeah, they love each other so much and they have this burning, burning passion, but like, do they actually like spending time together? And so I try to give them time on the page together as much as possible. And make sure that they're doing stuff that also allows them that chance to get to know each other. And like intimacy doesn't necessarily have to be like when the clothes start coming off, like in the case for Love at First Sighting, it could be when they're sneaking into, someplace they're not supposed to be. And they, the stakes are high and they have to get close to each other in order to stay out of the light and, not be seen. So I try to think about like, what would they bring that would make this situation fun for them? And also then like, how do I push them close together while also executing this plot? Like I don't ever really want to write like, here's a plot scene and then here's a romance scene. I want them to fuse together as much as possible.
And then throw in some mystery.
Yeah, exactly. That too.
Yeah, I found the mystery to be really good, actually. And you said it was your first time doing it. And I think I can't read mystery. I always guess the ending.
Yeah.
And even though I kind of I knew where you were going,
Yeah.
I still found the experience enjoyable. Like I still
good.
Yeah, I still think like, yeah, I got to where it needed to go. I'm not gonna, she hasn't read the ending yet, so I'm not
okay. So
you kind of like see where you're going, but I feel like when you get to the reveal and when Carter realizes what's actually going on, it is really heart-wrenching. It is a good punch there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was totally like that was very intentional too, because it was like I could have obviously told a really big story that is a massive government cover up and now we're breaking into Area 51 and trying to steal an alien. Like it could have gotten really, really big. But I was like, I think that the easier way to do this without making this an entirely different book is to keep it pretty small and keep it pretty personal. So like it's about the two of them and what they learn and what they grow from while solving this mystery rather than we're going to take down the government now.
Nice.
That's a lot for, like the first few dates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's your 10-year wedding anniversary.
Yeah. You take down the government for your, golden anniversary or something.
So something I'm interested in is that in both of your books so far, you sort of like skewer like the contemporary world of entertainment, of media. your first features like a startup, as we have said, a media startup, and this one kind of takes a look at influencer culture. Is that something that you will continue to be interested in your books? Is that something you'll continue to explore?
Yeah, definitely. I do think that my third book, so we have a third book announced, Entities to Lovers, that comes out next fall. That does take a little bit of a departure. It doesn't quite so much go into the entertainment world because it's set in a different location. It's just a bit of a different industry. But I work in entertainment, and so I mean, it's a fun but also really toxic industry. And so I think that also one going through a very strange time right now, like streaming services, mergers, and all kinds of stuff. But I think that it's an area that I know a lot, and I have my gripes with as well. And so, like with Love and Other Conspiracies, I had worked at a toxic workplace that I just really didn't feel valued in. It kind of really diminished my mental health and my confidence in my own abilities. So that was, and then I incorporated like all the, silly stuff about like the conference rooms, or it's okay, we have catered lunch, doesn't matter if you don't get a raise, like so all kinds of little gripes that I've got. But I mean, I think it also is like there are really good people inside those businesses who are trying to tell stories and who are trying to make a difference. And so I definitely want to focus on their stories, while also, raising awareness of like this is what it's kind of like, and there's a lot of really messy moving parts behind the entertainment industry.
That is something I think that both illustrate very nicely that like these are systemic issues that create those sorts of workplaces, or that, hide aliens from the public or whatever.
Yeah.
but
or create influencer houses.
Yeah.
But like those are composed of individuals who are going to like represent a broad range of like ambitions or intentions, or like character orientations. So
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I read on your website that you write video
I
games.
do. Yeah, that is my day job.
How did that translate from video games to book? Like, what was that
So
going like?
I was writing books before I wrote games. So like it was actually a learning curve going from prose to games, because in books, like you are kind of doing it alone. Like if I want to write something and I can pull it off, I can write it. And then, hopefully my agent and my editor like it too. And readers as well. But in games, like you can bring an idea to somebody and you're like, this is gonna be so cool. I have an awesome idea for a scene. And then you have a whole bunch of people be like, do you know how expensive that is to make? So no. And it is nice when you have people to reel you in and be like, oh, okay, that was ambitious. Yes. But I mean, I think it's so much more collaborative and technical, because in games, you're not just thinking about, and then they, go here and this is the movement there. You have to think about, how are they animating that? What is the setting like? What is the player going to be touching, or can they walk away from this conversation at any point? And then what happens when they come back? So you have to think about like, it's like if you were to cater to like 100 different readers at once. So it's so different, but it is a really cool exercise of your brain. And I do think that it's made me a better like book writer in, being able to look at things in a really analytical way now.
Interesting.
You do such a great job of creating tension between characters in a way that's like, I don't know if it's not really enemies to lovers. I would call it like almost frenemies to lovers. Like they're not, it's for like just like a second.
Yeah.
And like you obviously see why they have reasons to not trust each other and see themselves like cross purposes, because they absolutely are. But because there is that sense of play in their banter and like just funness between them, like you also get like why they're coming together despite those things. So.
Yeah. And that's one of the most fun parts to write is, when you meet somebody for the first time, you're like, you're not going to just agree, especially when this guy like finds you in a parking lot, like after your workout class, like you're not going to just decide to be this dude's best friend right away. So like, there's going to be a little bit of a question. And, why is this man wearing a hat and a full suit and suspenders? Like that is so odd. And he was stalking me. So I think that there was a lot of really fun banter leading, right around the beginning of their relationship together. And then, they start to see each other's worth pretty quickly, I think. And be like, this is a really fun skill that, that Elle has, or this is something really cool that Carter does that really is endearing to her. So it was a really fun dynamic to let evolve. And then by the end, they are obviously just like so down bad for each other.
A really like my favorite part early on that like made me laugh out loud was when he's showing her the surveillance photos that he took. He's like,
yeah,
oh my God, these are so good.
yeah. And she doesn't even miss it. She's like, oh wow, you did a great job on those.
Yeah. I can never make my pictures look like this when I'm trying to stand it.
They look fake. These look real. So he's got a skill.
Well, thank you so much for coming and chatting with us again. We're both obviously super excited to recommend this to our patrons.
Yay, I can't wait. Thank you guys so much for having me, and then thank you for everything that you do and for, continuing to be fans of the books. I love that so much.
Thanks. Anytime.
And we can't wait for number 3.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. That'll be a fun Halloween read for everybody. I can't wait.
Right. So it will be in your inbox again, next year.
Yeah, of course. You guys know where to find me.
Yes. Okay, listeners, please check out Love at First Sighting. When you hear this, it will be available. So head to your favorite bookstore or website or library, wherever you like to go for those things. All right, we'll see you next time.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.